The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, my name is Beverly Bolnick, National Sales Manager at NMP, and I would like to welcome you to National Mortgage Professional Magazine's webinar titled Earn More Green in 2014, Increase Your Realtor Referral Business Through 203K Solutions, sponsored and presented by Remen. I would like to thank all of our webinar attendees for taking the time out of their busy days for this very valuable and informative webinar in our ongoing series of webinars. I will now turn the mic over to Carl Markman, Director of National Sales for the Wholesale Division at Real Estate Mortgage Network.
Thank you very much, Beverly, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone, obviously depending on which part of the country you're in today. Remen is pleased to present this 203K webinar today through our partnership with National Mortgage Professional Magazine. And over the past few years or past few months, most of us have seen our refinance production plummet, and we're searching for ways in which to increase our purchase business and build relationships with our referral sources. This product, the 203K Consultant and Streamline, are the perfect way to accomplish this. And Remen has been closing 203K loans for almost 2 decades, and our underwriters and our closers do this product or close these loans better and faster than anyone in the industry. And for almost 12 years, since 2002, we've always provided the same-day turn times, especially on this 203K product. Before we get started, please mark your calendars and sign up for our QM webinar on December 4th, where we'll have Benjamin Olson, the former Assistant Director of the CFPB, do a presentation. Before we get started and before I introduce Stephen, our presenter today, I'd like to send this back to Beverly and introduce a couple poll questions.
Okay, thanks, Carl. We're going to start with our first poll question, which is very simple. Who is with us today? So who are you? Are you a broker, a lender, real estate agent, or an other mortgage professional? So please vote now, and I'll leave the poll open for a few minutes. A few seconds, rather, not a few minutes. You know what I mean. Okay, we're going to close it up in 5 more seconds, so make sure you vote. Okay, closing it up, and I will share the results with you right now. 37% of you are brokers, 47% of you are lenders, 2% of you are real estate agents, and 14% of you are other mortgage professionals. Okay, we're going to go with one more poll question, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Carl. Another very easy questions today. Are you currently an approved Remen client? Yes or no? Okay, I'm going to leave that open for another 5 seconds and then close that. Okay, closing it right now, and I'll share. We're pretty split here. 45% of you are, and 55% of you are not. Okay, back to Carl.
So before I introduce our presenter today, Stephen Marshall, Stephen has had over 30 years experience with 203K loans. So he's currently our National Director of Renovation Financing with us. So let's get started, Stephen.
All right, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Beverly. Actually, this coming Saturday, the 23rd of November, is going to be my 30th anniversary here in the mortgage banking industry. I've got a total of 33 years in the whole real estate industry. Your time today is very valuable to us, and we only have a very short period of time. So here are my objectives over the next 35 minutes. Number one, I would like to challenge everybody to think a little bit outside the box. But what I really want you to do is I'd like for you to walk away not with just an idea. A lot of people walk away with ideas, but they never implement them. I want you to walk away with something that you can implement in your daily sales and marketing activity to make you more money. Because this business is so frustrating because we take on the problems of the consumers and our real estate partners, and now we have government agencies freezing down our neck. If you're not making money, you're not having any fun. And I want to put some fun back into our business. So with that being said, there are my objectives. Think outside the box, have some fun, and let's make some money, something that we can actually do. Well, like I said, I've been in the business now 30 years, and over that 30-year period, one thing that I have recognized is that we are in an industry of constant change. In the 1980s, interest rates were anywhere from 14% to 17%. Matter of fact, the prime rate in October of 1980 was 21%. But people were selling houses and lenders were lending money. So how were they doing it? Well, the one thing they were doing was seller-held wrap mortgages, where they would actually take an assumable government loan and they would wrap it with a second mortgage and they would come up with a blended yield. And we would be lending money to people with a blended yield with rates like 11.5%, and they were tickled pink to get it. Home buyers and builders were advertising their homes using 3-2-1 buy downs, and in many cases paying up to 9 points just to get rid of their inventory. Graduated payment mortgages that had negative amortization, but it was a way in which we could get people into the house with an affordable payment. Well, it wasn't that long ago where we were doing no docs and option arms. Here's an interesting statistic, because all the numbers or those programs I just listed are all gone. But what about today? Today we're going to talk about a program that the use of this program has actually increased by 556% over the last 6 years. It was not something that was important in 2007, but in 2013, it's extremely important to our industry. Talking about our industry, the National Association of Board of Realtors every year comes out with a survey of all the home buyers and all the home sellers that have done a transaction over the previous 12 months. And that runs from July 1st of 2012 through June 30th of 2013. These new results were just posted the first week of November, so this is brand new information. Some of the stuff that really jumped off the page to me was, number one, for the first time in this survey, multi-generational households became a major force in the home buying community. 14% of all the transactions that were done over that 12-month period were made to multi-generational households. What's a multi-generational household? It's a household that is comprised of adult children, the parents of the adult children, and then the parents of the adult children. Also, what they do is they ask these home buyers, how long do you think that you're going to be in the property? Well, I've been plotting these results back from since 2005. And back in 2005 and 2006, when they would survey people, the average survey answer was 5 years. Because back then, if you remember, it wasn't not about buying the perfect house. It was about buying any house. Because values were going up so incredibly fast, people thought they could buy a house, they could stay in 5 years, they could sell it, reap the profits, and then go and buy the house of their choice. Home buyers today still look at real estate as a good, sound investment. However, first-time home buyers know that they need, or at least they think that they need to be in the property at least 10 years. And repeat buyers are saying as much as 15 years. Please remember those two numbers, because they're going to be important in just a few minutes when we talk about some different dynamics. When they surveyed these home buyers and they asked them what was the most important factors of you selecting your particular house, the number one reason was commuting distance to their employment. Commuting distance because of cost, and commuting distance because of the time element on the road. Number two was the quality of the neighborhood, the quality of the schools. Community is coming back to be important to home buyers. Affordability. Convenience to friends and family. And the fifth most important feature was energy efficient features. Notice that none of the top 5 reasons for buying a house was the perfect home with the white picket fence.
So at this time, Beverly, could you just put up our next poll question, please? Absolutely. So our next question is, I'm going to launch it right now. What is the percentage of homes currently on the market built over 20 years ago? And your options are 35%, 50%, or 70%. Please vote and let us know what you think. Okay, we're going to close this poll in another 5 seconds. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and share the results with you. 19% of you thought that the answer was 35%, 36% of you thought the answer was 50%, and 45% of you thought the answer was 70%.
Well, thank you, Beverly. Actually, the answer is 70% of the American stock, household stock, was built prior to 1990. 70% of all the homes in America are 14 years or older. 32% of the entire housing stock in the U.S. was built prior to 1960. The median age of the housing stock is 38 years old. And this particular year, through the first 3 quarters of 2013, 60% of all the homes that were sold were older than 14 years old. Now, why is that important? Well, if the largest segment of the home buying community is multi-generational households, the question is, these homes that were built prior to 1960, or even homes that were built after 1990, do they have the functionality and the amenities to actually comfortably put in 3 generations of people in the household? I just pulled up some statistics today for this meeting, and I found that the highest availability of properties on the market, as far as square foot is concerned, is between 1,200 square feet and 1,399 square feet with 3 bedrooms. So if the highest availability are 3-bedroom houses that are 1,300 square feet, is that conducive for the largest growing segment of the market? Next question. Now, the economist, the chief economist for RealtyTrack, who is one of the industry's largest statistical repository of information for us, made a statement that homes that are 20-plus years old, the amount of these properties that need, and he used the term major repairs, is eye-opening. The average price differential between a house that was built prior to 1990 versus a house that was built after 1990, that price differential is $23,081. But here's even a more eye-opening statistic. The price differential between a foreclosed property and a non-foreclosed property is actually $74,900. So as we're looking at affordability, remember the third largest or third most prominent reason that people selected a particular house was affordability. It looks to me that affordability indexes indicate that buying an older home is more affordable than buying a younger home. And buying a distressed property is significantly more affordable. Now, this economist also said, though, here's some negatives to that. He said that older homes typically that need a lot of repair, their utility bills are higher, and the deferred maintenance of those properties are higher. Again, that affects affordability. And these older homes don't have the floor plans and the amenities that today's home buying community is looking for, i.e., single buyers and multi-generational households and older aging population that may need wheelchair accessibility. So here we got this great opportunity for people to get these huge discounts on these older homes, but yet they lack some functionality. In this particular example, those 3 negatives can equal a positive, which then in turn is going to gain wealth for the American public, and we control it. Look at what the remodeling industry is estimating. They're estimating that over the next 12 months, 3.5 million houses are going to be remodeled. Do you know that that represents currently 70% of the purchase-driven absorption rate? Right now, the absorption rate is about 5 million homes. So if 3.5 million homes are going to be remodeled next year, that's 70% of the purchase side of the business. Well, we're in an industry where the Mortgage Bankers Association is predicting that refis are going to drop by about 65%. So how do we make up this lost income opportunity as mortgage professionals? How about doing remodeling? Home ownership. And this could be perceived as a negative, but we're going to turn this negative into a positive. You know, it's the lowest it's been in 13 years. And why is this occurring? We're seeing through like Case-Shiller reports that the average value of properties have increased between 10 and 20% in major metropolitan areas. That there are more Americans now that have equity in their house than are underwater in their house, and that's the first time in the last 4 years. That's a positive. But when appraisals are based on comparable sales, if you have a property that's experiencing an 8% increase, annual increase in its value, the appraiser might be looking at comps that were written, the sales prices were written 6 months ago, and therefore the property value has actually increased 4% over that period of time. And do you know that's one of the biggest fears of real estate agents? Properties under appraising. We got to find a way to overcome that. You know, 26% of the listing inventory that's out there today is considered distressed and is on the market for 6 months or longer. 26% of the inventory is stale and it sits on the market for more than 6 months. And we talked about that distressed housing are selling at a 40.5% discount over non-distressed houses. Housing stock is old. One of the statistics in this national survey, 6% of the purchasers in this survey were people who had a house foreclosed on or did a short sale back in 2008 and 2009. That's a positive because they're re-entering the market. The problem is they don't have any cash. So we have borrowers who are very limited as far as their cash is concerned. We got to overcome that. Here's the solution, I think, is 203K loans. And Carl is right. We at the Real Estate Mortgage Network, we've been doing 203K loans for the last 3 years. FHA has been doing them since 1992. And FHA loans is the product, FHA 203K loans are the product that has increased by 556% over the last 6 years. In 2007, in fiscal year 2007, there were only 3,391 203K loans done nationwide. But fiscal year just ending September of 2013, 18,865 units, a 556% increase. So something that was not important in 2007, to us commission salespeople, should be critical to our success in 2014. Now, FHA is actually one product, and it's broken down into 2 options. The first option is called a streamline option, and the second option is called a standard K. Some people call it a full K or a consulting K. When you think about a streamline, please think about terms such as modify, repair, upgrade, replace. When you're thinking about the standard 203K, the consultant 203K, think about terms such as construct, build. You know, you're tearing down walls, you're putting additions in, you're building garages. Now, what is standard amongst these 2 products? Well, first of all, they're both available only for primary residents, not available for second homes or investors. But yet the LTVs are the same as a 203B. It's 96.5% on purchases, and on refis it's 97.75%. And those LTVs are based on the total acquisition cost. So for a purchase, it's based on the sales price plus the cost of the renovation, and then we lend 96.5% of that. High balance loans are available just like they are on 203B, and it just is standard FHA credit underwriting. People for years have thought that 203K is some mystery loan. To me, it's a 203B loan with just a construction rider. Same income, same asset, same credit. Now, contractors do have to be licensed and insured, and what we do is we follow what is common and customary in the various states. And the bids do have to be done in the outline so that you break down labor and material. Luxury items are not available under this product. This product is more for functionality, so things such as swimming pools and fire pits and jacuzzis are not available. This last bullet point is the point that I think is the most important for you to walk away from the table with. On a non-HUD repo, on a non-HUD REO repo, the loan to value, that 96.5%, is actually based on 110% of the after improved value. So not only do we look at the after improved value, we actually can go to 110% of the after improved value. Now, why is that important? If the number one fear of our real estate partners is properties under appraising, and if we have situations where appraised values are lagging because we have prices that are increasing, but the new appraisal rules are making us use comparable sales that may have been 4 to 6 months old, it's creating a gap. Well, we don't look at what the current as-is value is. We take whatever the purchase price is and we use that for the current value, because we believe that what the true value of a property is what an educated buyer and an educated seller come together and agree on a sales price. So let's say you have a $150,000 sales price, and now the buyer wants the seller to pay 6% of the buyer's closing costs. Well, in this particular case, the listing agent and the selling agent can increase the price from 150 to 159 and not worry about the appraisal. That is huge in today's marketplace. Now, 203K streamline. When people hear the word streamline, they immediately think, oh, this must be much easier than the other. They're both not difficult. The real defining answer is two things: the dollar volume and what type of repairs are being done. As far as the repairs are being done, you cannot have any structural repairs. That's why I've always said you think of terms such as modernize, upgrade, repair. You don't need special permits or architectural exhibits or anything like that. And it's limited as far as the maximum dollar amount that can be used. Now, the limit is $35,000. But that doesn't mean $35,000 of the contractor's bid. The contractor's bid, as far as their labor and material, can't exceed $31,000. And the reason is the additional $4,000 is for things such as contingency reserves and draw inspections and supplemental origination fees and title updates. So just remember, when you're thinking streamline, you're thinking repair, modernize, improve. You're thinking maximum of $31,000 for labor and material, no structural things. And in most cases, lenders will actually disperse up to 50% of the documented labor and material costs at the time of closing. So if you have a situation where the labor and material cost is $25,000, at the settlement table they will actually have a check, and they will present a check to the new home buyer, and it will be in the name of the home buyer and the contractor, in this particular example, for $12,500. Now, as far as the standard 203K is concerned, there is no money at the settlement table. So, number one, that's a big negative for everybody. But we do have situations where lenders can actually send a check for customized features such as custom windows, or cabinets, or countertops. Now, the money cannot pass through the hands of the homeowner or through the contractor. It has to be sent directly to the manufacturer who is actually customizing and building these features, but that is something that is available through most lenders. When a standard 203K, you need a general contractor. Now, you can also have a specialty contractor. Here's an example. We do a lot of business in Texas. And in Texas, you have a lot of foundation issues. So that you will have a general contractor who's going to do all the other types of upgrades and maintenances, but you have a structural engineer who's going to do the structural stuff, and that's acceptable. When you're thinking about this type of product, think about tearing down houses and rebuilding them, construction, putting on additions, knocking off the roof and actually putting dormers up. There's a slide here that we're going to discuss what type of repairs can be done. I like to tell people, instead of worrying about what can be done, let's just focus on the few items that we can't do. I know. Here is a negative. I hear this every day. But my buyer doesn't want to pay for the consultant. First of all, who is the consultant? The consultant is a trained professional who has been certified by HUD. And it's their job to actually manage the transaction. And they act as a liaison between the contractor and the homeowner. Now, let's say that, at least in the state of Maryland, where I live, it's kind of customary for the real estate community to ask the home buyers or really insist the home buyers to get a home inspection. And that home inspection typically costs around $350. Well, if you had a consultant, the consultant would do what is known as a feasibility study, and that feasibility study can act as the home inspection. Also, a lot of listing agents offer home warranties, and home warranties, at least in my marketplace, cost about $450. Well, if you have a house that's been remodeled, and you've got a brand new HVAC system, and you've repaired the roof, and you've put in all new appliances in the house, maybe the need for the warranty is not there. So when you take a look at the not needing the warranty and not needing the home inspection, it more than covers the cost of the consultant.
Beverly, at this time we're going to have our last poll question. Okay, I'm putting it up right now. So we wanted to know what you think. Which is an eligible 203K repair? Is it roof gutters, downspouts, heating, cooling systems, carpet and flooring, all of the above, or none of the above? Okay, I'm going to give you another few seconds to vote. Wow, this is a very overwhelmingly, one answer is really very popular here. Okay, I'm going to share the results with you right now. So 95% of you said all of the above. 1% of you said roofs, gutters, downspouts. 2% of you said heating, cooling systems. 1% said carpet and flooring, and 1% said none of the above. Great, thank you.
Well, actually, if you take a look at this list, you'll see that everything can be done. HUD has a very detailed list on their website as far as what can be done. But if anybody would like for us to send it out to them, please, at the end of this, we'll give you an email address, and you can just email us, and we'll send you a copy of this. What you really got to focus on is what can't you do. And what you can't do is you can't do luxury items. You can't build fire pits and jacuzzis and swimming pools. Now, here's an interesting thing. The people in the Northeast, especially in the New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut shoreline, some of those communities have been devastated for over a year because of the Hurricane Sandy that hit at the end of October of last year. And the market was handcuffed because you had all these various federal agencies and nobody could really agree on things. Well, at the end of September, the federal FHA, HUD, actually released Mortgage E-Letter 2013-36, which is a temporary provision that allows for these homes to actually be rebuilt on modified foundations. See, a regular 203K loan allows you actually to rip the house down and rebuild it as long as you're building it on a section of the original foundation. So somebody, we do loans where people are actually buying houses. It happens in Florida. They're buying older homes in canals and waterfront areas, tearing them down, and building very expensive pieces of property. But on the Jersey Shore, because of the new flood elevation certificates, the only way to rebuild these houses were to put them on pylons or stilts or some other type of modified foundation. And they couldn't do it. Well, with this special provision, it now can be done. So if you're in that marketplace, please look up and make sure that you become aware of this, because it's creating a lot of positive energy. Solution, I think the biggest solution that we can offer to our real estate agents is the fact that we can take the fear out of the appraisal. We're not going to ask about the as-is value. That's between you and the seller and the buyer. We're only going to look at the after-improved value, and then, even then, we're only going to look at 110%. You don't need a calculator, but just think about this. I buy a house for $100,000. I put $50,000 into it, so my acquisition cost is $150,000. As long as that property appraises, the after-improved value appraises at $138,000, so it doesn't even have to appraise for $150,000. As long as it appraises for $138,000, we got a closed deal. One thing that real estate agents, matter of fact, my first job out of college was real estate. I was a real estate agent. Had long hair, wore puka shells. I was a lacrosse player. Nobody'd hire me, so I went to real estate. And they taught me one thing: location, location, location. There's a lot of things you can do to a house, but you can't change its location. One of the solutions that we offer is that somebody can buy a house and personalize that house with this mortgage. They can buy a distressed property and take advantage of these huge discounts and rebuild the whole thing. Multi-generational households can put first-floor master suites on. We can increase the equity position for homeowners. We can't do anything about the old housing stock. But what we can do is upgrade and modify everything. We can take advantage of government-sponsored programs. Sometimes the government's our friend. A good neighbor next door program. We closed a loan not that long ago. It was in the summer for a 23-year-old nurse in Baltimore City who took advantage of a Baltimore City grant program and the neighborhood next door program. She got in for none of her own money, literally had none of her own money in the deal. She only needs to live in the house for 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, the grant is forgiven, and she'll have $90,000 of equity in that property. She'll be 26 years old. She used none of her own money, and in 3 years, she'll have $90,000 of equity. The National Association of Home Builders have said the #1 priority to their members is to make houses more affordable. Well, anybody that's on this call today, if you've ever dealt with a builder, none of these builders are talking about reducing the prices of their homes. So if they're not going to reduce the price of their homes, how are they going to make home ownership more affordable? They're doing it by doing energy efficient features. The Go Green concept is huge. Matter of fact, there is a bipartisan bill before the Senate. It's been sponsored by both Democratic and Republican senators. That doesn't happen very often. It's called the SAFE Act. And if this act were to be voted on, and I'm not saying it is, but if it were, we as lenders, if we're going to sell to one of the GFEs, which is FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA, we would have to compute the cost of the utilities in the ratios. How would you do that? How would you be able? You could literally have a situation where you have two houses in the same neighborhood side by side, one of them with all upgraded features, one of them that's the Brady Bunch house that hasn't been touched since the 70s, and the person buying the Brady Bunch house is going to need more income to qualify than the house next door. That's a real reality that we as industry professionals have got to be aware of. So how can we overcome that? Utilizing a 203K loan, we can increase the efficiency of the house. We can reduce the fear of deferred maintenance. We can reduce the utility cost on a monthly basis. We can increase the equity position of the home buyer. HUD says, not Steve Marshall, HUD says that on average, a house that is rehabbed using a 203K, the after improved value is between 4% and 12% greater than the acquisition cost. That's pretty incredible. So what's our target audience? Number one, and I don't know if those of you that are lenders and brokers out there, you probably have never heard somebody say this, but typically in the 30 years that I was in the business, I was taught to chase buying agents. And we would run around and ask people, hey, do you have anybody I can qualify? Oh, you got a buyer for me? What about listing agents? Listing agents have 50% of the market share, and we as professionals, we don't even pay any attention to them. And if you remember, 26% of their listings, they can't sell. So what about if we had a plan that we were able to go to listing agents and help them sell that inventory? You know, the inventory that's the right neighborhood, it's the right school district, it's the right commuting distance to major economic and employment opportunities. It's just an old house. It's the house that the Brady Bunch lived in, you know, with the olive green kitchen, and they got the peach in the bathroom and the shag carpet and the dark paneling. That sounds funny, but there are properties out there like that. Hey, we can make that change. What about the multi-generational households and or the aging population looking for disability access, or multi-generational, looking for multiple master suites? Well, we talked about the old houses, the aging stock. They don't have that. But we can create that. Some of you are thinking, I know, I've tried to do a 203K loan before and it was the worst experience in my life. I've heard that they're nothing but trouble and they never close and I never get paid on them. Well, some of you may have been right in the past, but that's not true today. An FHA 203K loan is an FHA loan. It follows regular FHA guidelines with just a construction rider. The rates are very competitive, and most lenders are closing their loans in 45 days or less. We here at Real Estate Mortgage Network are closing them in 38.3 days. So they're not taking a lot of time, and they're not complicated, and yet the market is starving for them. I know, but it's expensive. See, because I could get a 203B loan, and my rate could be this, and you're going to give me an FHA 203K, and you're going to charge me more, and I don't need a calculator to know that's too expensive. Well, if home ownership was only about principal and interest, you'd be right. However, it's not. Home ownership is also, what's your monthly utility bills? How much are you paying on deferred interest? How much are you paying in deferred maintenance? Are you having to use high interest credit cards to replace the furnace or the hot water heater or the HVAC system when it goes up? Because how long do people think they're going to be in this house? First-time home buyers. What was that statistic? 10 years. So we're putting them in houses. 70% of the houses are older than 14 years. The home buyer is thinking they're going to be there in 10 years. What's the probability within the 10 years? Their roof, their HVAC system, their windows, their flooring, their appliances, that they're going to have to replace all that. And what are they going to do it with? High interest rate credit cards? Because they don't have any cash. At current interest rates, for every $1,000 borrowed, it's $4.60 per thousand. So my slide right here says if they borrowed an extra $10,000, it's $46 a month. Well, let's say it's $30,000, okay? So what's that? That's $122. But let's say that $30,000, you redid the roof, you did all new appliances, you put new windows in and a new HVAC system, and you dropped your utility bills. You know the average utility bill in the northeast part of the country is $453 a month. And the Energy Commission says that a house that has been retrofitted with energy efficient items can save between 30 and 40% of the utility bills. So just take 30%. 30% of $453 is more than $121. So they got the house that they want with all new features, and yet their out-of-pocket cash on a monthly basis is either the same or lower. So for us as professionals, what's it really about? It's about us building new relationships. It's about strengthening the relationships that we currently have. I like to say that when we're building our business, we build it both vertically and horizontally. And vertically means we do more business with the current partners that we have. And horizontal growth, it means that we're able to go out there and get other partners that we currently don't have. And most of us really don't get referral sources from listing agents. By utilizing this particular product, you're going to be able to originate and close more loans with less stress, get more referrals, and at the end of the day, that means you're making more money. And as I said in my very first slide, if we're not making money in this business is no fun. But this can be the greatest industry in the world if we get the personal satisfaction of helping people, and while doing it, we make a darn good living for ourselves and our families. Here's a marketing idea for you. How about creating a team? Create a team where you're the leader of the team. You're the facilitator of it. And the team consists of maybe a HUD consultant in your marketplace and a contractor that you do business with. Maybe it even consists of an energy rater. There's a company called Resnet, R-E-S-N-E-T, that actually is the repository for another FHA program called Energy Efficient Mortgages. And on their website, you just type in your zip code, and it'll tell you all of the certified professionals that serve your zip code. And you bring these other professionals together, and you actually then go to listing agents, and you challenge them for them to show you the inventory that they can't sell. And you put together a marketing plan. Your contractor and your consultant put together a feasibility study and an estimate of the cost. And the energy rater puts together a proposal that says if these repairs were done, this is how it would positively impact, how it would reduce the cost of the monthly utility bills. That's pretty exciting. Now, you then, once you have this built, you then do home buyer seminars. But everybody does home buyer seminars. But you're going to do it a little different. Because now you got this inventory of listings out there that you and your team have basically staged. And at the very end of your home buyer seminar, you're going to bring all these people in vans and you're going to caravan them around to these properties. And all you need to do is have one property sell. Can you imagine if you help facilitate the sale of one listing in a RE/MAX or a Keller Williams office that nobody else could get sold, and you did it? No longer are you a vendor. You are now a partner. And partners make a whole lot more money than vendors do. Now, what we're going to do is, and I'm going to turn it over to Pam, but what we're going to put on is a workshop. Because in this short period of time, although I have a huge passion that this works, I can't teach you how to do it right now. So we're going to have a follow-up workshop. And that workshop is going to be on December 12th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Pam Seifert.
Thank you. We're also offering another webinar called Preparing for QM, just the facts and only the facts. That's going to be on December 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we're all concerned about QM, and I know through the questions that we've been receiving, we're getting a lot of questions regarding QM on this particular webinar. So please stay tuned and be on the lookout for these webinars through your email. And through the email, too, we're also going to be sending a copy of this presentation. For additional information on your 203K loans, you can visit www.hud.gov and just do a search on 203Ks. You're going to see a link to all of the different mortgagee letters. If you have specific questions for HUD, you can always email answers@hud.gov or contact your lender. At Remin, you can always visit www.reminwholesale.com and just go to submitting a help desk ticket, and we answer all of your renovation questions. So at this time, we do want to thank you for your time today, but we are going through a couple of questions that have come through the webinar panel. We're not going to be able to get to all of them. So along with the email, with the presentation, along with the links to our QM webinar and our next FHA 203K workshop, we're also going to answer all of the questions that were given during this presentation. So Steve, if you don't mind, I am going to ask you just a couple questions that came through.
Super.
The first one is, are you able to build a new home on, with the renovation product?
You actually can purchase a, you got to purchase, you can't build a new home, but what you can do is you can purchase an existing home, tear it down, and then rebuild it on the existing foundation. And that's what's happening a lot in the Sandy area. On the Jersey Shore. These homes have been just totally destroyed. And so people are buying these properties for pennies on a dollar, and they're rebuilding them up, and they've got gorgeous new homes.
Great, thank you. Are two appraisals required, one to establish the as-is value and one for the after-improved value?
Some lenders do require that. I will tell you that we do not. As a matter of fact, we don't even care what the current as-is value is. We only look at the after-improved value. And I think that's one of the biggest sales features to real estate agents, so that when we're talking as mortgage professionals, the fact that we don't care about as-is values just takes the fear of the appraisal right off the table.
Thank you. Are you able to do a cash-out refinance with this program?
No, I'm sorry, you cannot. However, let's say that you have a situation where somebody paid cash for a property because the seller would only take a real quick transaction. If, in fact, they paid cash for a property and then they utilized the 203K within 6 months of that sales price, they can recoup their cash. So we see a lot of that with HUD REO properties where somebody will buy a property that's really distressed for like $50,000. They'll pay cash for it. Then they'll come in and they'll get a contractor, and the contractor will, put a $100,000 bid in to redo the house. The acquisition cost would be $150,000 in that example, and we could do 97.75% of it. So, yeah.
Thank you. Couple of last questions. The first one, what if there's an existing pool? Can you have any repairs done to the pool?
On a full K, not a streamline, but on a full K, you can include up to $1,500 for pool repairs.
And do 203Ks in general have higher closing costs?
I would say, well, yes, they do, only because, remember, you might be adding $50,000 worth of improvements. So your title insurance is going to be based on not the sales price, but the sales price plus improvements. So in that particular case, yes, your closing costs are going to be a little higher. However, it's a very small incremental amount based on, if you're buying a house for $100,000, you've got 3.5% down plus closing costs. If you buy the same house for $100,000 and you put $50,000 into it, it's based on $150,000. That's how it works.
Okay, my last question, and like I said, if we did not get your question, we will be sending out in the email with a copy of the presentation all of the questions and answers to those questions. So in regards to no luxury items being allowed, does that limit the quality of the materials used?
Absolutely no. When we're talking about luxury items, we're talking about features such as outdoor fire pits and jacuzzis and swimming pools. But we see some of these houses that when they're finished, they look like they're custom built. That's one feature, if we remember. We say with a full K, there's no money dispersed at the settlement table unless you're getting custom-made windows or custom-made cabinets or custom-made countertops. You would be amazed if you saw some of the before and after pictures of what these properties look like. It's pretty incredible.
Great, thank you. Carl?
So in closing, I would just like to first thank National Mortgage Professional Magazine for inviting us and allowing us to present to all of you today. And second, I'd like to thank Stephen today for presenting to us. I wish that all of you could have been present to see his passion, and he has plenty of passion to be able to get the word out to as many people as possible on the 203K product, because it is a very, very important product for all of us to allow us to increase our business. And I'd like to thank all of you today. You've taken the first step on helping yourselves to potentially increase your business today. And for all of you, the loan officers on this call today, if you are already a current Remin wholesale customer, I would strongly advise you to reach out to your account executive as soon as possible to discuss this product and how we can help you. And if you're not currently a customer of ours, you should reach out to us on our Remin wholesale website and request some more information. But we thank all of you for attending today, and we hope that everyone has a terrific 2014. Thank you very much.